Welcome to the Road To Remission show, where we fight the good fight as one. With your host, Hassan Jackson, only on Truth 5 TV. Welcome to the Road To Remission show, where we fight the good fight as one. With your host, Hassan Jackson, only on Truth 5 TV.
Thank you for tuning in once again. This is Hassan Jackson. This is the Road To Remission show. And today we have a special guest who was here last time who I interviewed, Katie Robinson. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you for coming back. So primarily, we're on CP time. We were a little late. We apologize. But if you're tuning in live or if you watch this show, again, we appreciate it. Our focus today is going to be on sickle cell disease. Not enough attention is paid to sickle cell disease, and it runs rapid in the black community. And a lot of people don't realize, for African Americans or maybe Latinos, that this is a problem that we are having in our community. And a lot of times they don't realize it until they get tested when they're pregnant. But what we're going to try to do is, Mrs. Katie Robinson, if you watched our show prior to this show, before a couple shows back, she had the sickle cell disease. Mm-hmm. She got a transplant from her sister.
No.
Cousin.
No. I got
your aunt.
I was transplanted September 11th, 2015, and my donor is unrelated.
Unrelated. Okay, so you don't know who your donor was.
I do not know who he is.
Wow.
The only thing that I know about him is that, well, now he's 26 and he's a male.
Okay, before you start, I'm going to ask you a question about that. Do you want to know who this person is? And if you do want to know, is there a way that you can know or find out?
Well, there is a way. They have to first request to want to be known.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't want to know who you are. They don't want. They just want to do it out of the goodness of their heart.
Okay.
And for first and foremost, I want to give thanks and glory to God, because if it
Always.
was not for Him,
Always.
I would not be
Thank
here
you,
to
God.
tell the
Yes,
story.
That's right.
So with that being said, sometimes they don't want to be known. Sometimes they want to go and just, do it for you for, out of the goodness of their heart, like I said. So, they have to say that, like I said, they want to know. And then, of course, they have to, it goes through an agency, Be the Match. And Be the Match, it's, the middleman of it all. So they tell their transplant director, the coordinator, and then it's all through, chains.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he says he wants to meet me, then he can meet me.
Okay.
If not, then, it's just he's done his job. And
Are you curious?
I am curious
Yeah,
to
I
meet
would be
him
too.
because, he saved
your
my
life. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to meet him, whoever he is. But, if he doesn't want to, that's completely fine with me.
Take a break. Oh, okay. We're going to take a quick break, and then Mrs. Robinson's going to come back with some information to share with you all. We'll be right back. Thank you. Yes, so Mrs. Robinson is going to share some information with you guys. The information she's going to share with you, please listen, pay attention. It may save your life. It may save someone else's life. So now I'm going to give the floor to Mrs. Robinson, and I will be here. And Mrs. Robinson, take it away.
Okay, so as we all know, or may not have known, but the late, great Charlie Murphy passed away April 10th from leukemia. And the likelihood of him having sickle cell trait is 1 in 13 because he's a black man. And as daunting as it may seem, it's not uncommon. Like I said, it's 1 in 13 for blacks to have the trait. Most people think that the trait will turn into sickle cell disease, and it does not. Once you have the trait, it's just you have the trait and that's it. It's passed on from person to person, and you can pass it along to your offspring, and that's how your offspring will end up getting the disease. And a common misconception is that sickle cell disease is a black disease. It is not just a black disease. Latinos can have it. Europeans have it. I want to say the not Native American, but the Asian community can have it as well.
Take your time.
So, I want to dispel that myth. And so one to every 3 million people have sickle cell trait in the United States, and 100,000 people in America have the disease. And so there's 6 different types of sickle cell diseases, and they range from by culture, by region, and as well as severity. So sickle cell SS, for instance, is probably the most severe, and then it goes from person to person.
Does sickle cell SS stand for anything in particular?
No, that's just the genotype that's
Okay.
Identified by. And some of the other ones are not as known as far as severity is concerned, but for the most part, there's 6 different types. And you can't judge one person's trait or one person's disease for the next person, because every person is different. It's a case by case, way you have to treat patients and people with the disease. Hydrea is the only FDA-approved medication for sickle cell disease, and that's only to lessen the occurrence of the crisis that you get. And sometimes the Hydrea does not work for everyone. And so right now studies are being done to find different ways to come up with new diseases. A lot of drugs are in the market right now with the FDA, trying to approve some medications that they have being researched. And for the most part, sickle cell trait, the life expectancy back in the 1970s was 14 years old. Now, patients are living longer, but the chances of them getting sicker and sicker as we get older. Now, I did my transplant when I was 26, and that came with a lot of complications because I didn't know how sick I was when I did the transplant. But some of the, complications that come along with the disease are strokes, pain crises, of course. A lot of times patients will get blood transfusions or blood exchanges. And the only thing that you can use to remedy those things are pain medications. If you can take Hydrea, which not a lot of people, like I said, can't, they can take that. And of course, with everything that you take, there's side effects and consequences to them. For example, in my case, Hydrea caused me to have burn-like scars on my legs. So some people, it causes other mental.
Now with the Hydrea, do you take that through your veins or is it a medicine?
It's a pill,
Okay.
capsule
Okay.
that you take. And depending on the doctor's prescription, I was taking it up to 4 pills a day.
Whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it all depends on, your doctor and whether you're willing to take it or not. But like I said, it's not everyone can take it. But as far as, like I said, now people are living from, a lot older. The life expectancy is about 65 years old. And I know people who are in their 70s and 80s with this disease. So there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, you can live.
That's why, it is imperative that there is, better care for all of them out here. And once you transition into that 18-year-old age, once, transition out of pediatric care, a lot of people have limitations as far as their adhering to their medications. They don't have an established medical home. They increase their emergency room visits because they're using the ER as their primary care physicians, and because you have to treat whoever comes into the ER, people are going to the ER for their flu shot. They're going there for their routine vaccines. So that's an increase on that, and that's an increase in hospitalizations as well, increased morbidity, mortality, and it comes with a lot of, poor health outcomes when it comes to that. And of course, there's no transitional support from patient to doctor and vice versa, because not many doctors are well versed in adult sickle cell patients. They don't know how to treat them because, like I said, the life expectancy in the 70s was 14, 15. You weren't supposed to live past 21.
That's interesting.
Yes. And of course, insufficient funding is a big problem. Because the disease is so hush-hush, it is, I find a lot of patients, they don't want to tell their friends and families that they have the disease. They don't want to share with their community the importance of this disease. And, it's very almost shamed. And so, we're finding also difficulty in finding adult providers because not many, like I said, not a lot of doctors have the knowledge on how to treat adult patients once they reach that 18 beyond age. And so, like I said, there is no universal cure for sickle cell, and a lot of people think there is not.
It's almost like a good luck thing. If it's someone else has that matches up with the cell trait or whatever, and hopefully it's like almost praying the disease you get. It's like, oh, I'm praying somebody, will be able to match on the other side. So, and I mean, luckily you had somebody who had the same, and you were able to, get the transplant to save you.
Yes, because not a lot of blacks especially want to enter into the donor pool. And that's why it's encouraged for people to go out and get bone marrow tested. Even if you want to donate blood, it's encouraged that you all do that because you don't know whose life you end up saving.
Right.
And like in my case. But their only possible cure option is bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant. And this only for qualified patients. Not everybody qualifies to be, to be transplanted. You have to have a suitable HLA donor, whether it be a sibling or an unrelated donor. You have to have a qualified caregivers, and I say that with an S because you don't know what complications can come along with it. And you also have to have and as well as and you also have to be well enough to withstand the complications that come along with this process, because it is daunting. You don't know how sick you're going to be before and after, even though you do get tested with your protocol testing that you have to do MRIs, seeing if you're a male, the male physician. You have to see a gynecologist if you're a female, cardiologist if you have cardiology problems. So it's a daunting process, but once you get through it, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes,
believe me.
This is living proof.
Yes, exactly. So, but as far as the Star Alliance, they are the ones who go through the transplant process, and they're the ones who follow up with patients who go through transplant. Mm-hmm. And for instance, I did my transplant at Hackensack. Okay. And they're part of the Star Alliance. And so, like I said, they follow you from from before your transplant to your transplant and beyond. Make sure that you're doing okay, you're doing well, et cetera, et cetera. And so, the one thing that I will say is that for sickle cell patients who decide to do transplant, there are only about 20 to 30% of patients who are willing or who have a donor to match them. Mm. And because
that's such a low rate.
Exactly, yeah. Because a lot of people do not want to enter into the donor pool. And Be the Match, like I explained a little bit earlier, Be the Match is the only, nonprofit that travels through patients who are in the donor pool who may be willing to donate.
What's the name of it again?
Be the Match.
Be the Match, okay.
Yes. And with Be the Match, you may be in the donor pool, but the donor has to be also willing to donate to you. Because going through transplant itself, for the donor and himself or herself, is complicated because, for instance, in a bone marrow transplant, you have to take off time of work, school, your daily activities, go to the hospital to get transplant. It's painful.
I've had that bone marrow. Very painful.
It's painful.
And you're not sedated when they do it.
Exactly.
You're like, I guess they give you a little numbing and, smack you on the butt and be like, stick it in your bone. And you're like, exactly. Oh, my God. They did that when I was in the hospital as well, yeah.
And they're having to extract the bone marrow from your hip,
oh my God.
5
I don't want to remember that pain.
to 8 times.
And I heard the needle was very big, but I didn't watch it because I wasn't facing the needle. So my mother was like, she was trying to keep a regular face while that was going on,
Because I've seen it done. And yes, it was on television, but I've seen it done, and it is very
But when they did
painful.
it to you, you didn't see it?
No. When I receive it,
okay.
when he gave it to me, it's, and painful on his part. Yeah. But for me, it's like when you get a blood transfusion. Yeah. It's like a big, giant bag of blood, and it's given to you through your IV.
Okay, so you didn't actually have to have the shot given to you. You just had to do whatever was inside the shot that came out.
Exactly.
And that's when it happened to you like that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's painless for me, but
painful for him.
Yes. But as far as in New Jersey, there is the nonprofit organization SCANJA. It stands for Sickle Cell Association of New Jersey.
Say that slower and say it again so they can hear you.
A nonprofit sickle cell organization that's in New Jersey is SCANJA.
SCANJA?
SCANJA.
Yes. Okay.
SCANJ, which stands for Sickle Cell Association of New Jersey. And they're the ones who provide advocacy, services, and just care, overall education when it comes to sickle cell as a whole.
Support.
Yes, exactly. And I want to come on here and share the knowledge of what sickle cell disease is and dispel the stigma that's attached to it, like I explained earlier, because a lot of people think that or don't know what sickle cell disease is, and especially sickle cell trait.
Yeah.
Because for 1 in 12, 1 in 13 to have the trait, you're passing that possibility, you're passing that gene on to your children.
Yeah.
And the possibility for your offspring having that, if your partner has the trait, is 25%.
Oh, man.
And so in my case, both my parents have the trait.
I mean, you were just destined to have it.
Exactly. And so 25%, I was the lucky 25.
Woohoo!
And in my sister's case, she 50%.
Yeah.
She has a trait.
That's good.
But I want her to educate her children from henceforth, because this disease is nothing to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do have the sickle cell disease, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
You can be healthy. You can be okay.
You can live with
as
it.
long as you take care of yourself
Yes.
and move forward, with your knowledge, with your advocacy. Advocate for yourself. Advocate for people who don't want to know, who are afraid. And that's what it is.
Spreading information like coming on the show.
Oh,
and
yeah.
doing different things
Definitely,
like this. Do
definitely.
you have any statistics, or you did it with statistics already?
Statistics, 1 to 3 million or 1 to 3 billion people in the United States have sickle cell trait. About 100 million people have the disease in the world. And that's across the
Now,
world.
is it? I don't know if you know the answer to this, but it'd be good to find out, though, if we didn't. Is it more susceptible to people in different countries than it is, like,
Yes,
say, maybe
yes,
like in
yes.
third world countries, where it's
Not
poorer
necessarily.
and the medicine maybe not,
No, because
okay.
it is an inherited disease.
Okay.
It's the countries or regions that are most affected by malaria.
Okay.
And so you find that in sub-Saharan Africa,
Yeah, Africa.
they have a high malaria cases. So you'll see a lot of
in Africa.
see a lot of sickle cell trait and sickle cell disease patients in Africa, and the Mediterranean,
Yeah.
and as well as Asia, India, like the sub-Arabian countries
Okay.
have the, sickle cell. You see high prevalence of sickle cell trait and disease there. So malaria cases in the Caribbean, some parts of the
So
South
malaria
America.
is related to the sickle cell disease?
Yeah,
Okay.
sickle cell trait, because
You told me disease last time. You told me to know.
okay, so no, sickle cell
Well, you need to
trait.
tell me what you want me to say.
No, sickle cell trait. Sickle cell trait. Having the sickle cell trait.
Yes.
You,
Leads to the disease.
No. It does lead to the disease.
Yes, ma'am.
But you're not going to have the disease. So because, for instance, I have the disease.
Just because you have the trait doesn't mean that you have the disease, or
Exactly.
that you will get the disease.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can. The only way it's passed, or only way you can get it, is if you pass it along to your offspring.
Yes.
Then your offspring could potentially get the disease.
So your mother should have checked out your father first before.
Well, in my age, back in the late 80s,
It wasn't really,
studies were not,
Yeah.
prevalent around
It's
this
come a
time
long
of
way.
what is going on out here, what diseases are, because newborn screening wasn't even available back then.
Yeah.
And so you didn't know until you were pregnant that your child, or you have the disease, or you have, well, not necessarily disease, but you have the trait. And so when you find out when you're pregnant, it's like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And even though when you have the trait, you usually do not have any issues, usually. But in extreme cases, like, for instance, I want to say 19 athletes have died from sickle cell trait because of sickling. And it's because they were, doing football or basketball in some cases. And in that instance, there's no real medical knowledge of what happens to them. And a lot of schools don't screen at their athletes for sickle cell trait because, this unknown. They don't know what's going on with them. So with that being said, education is key for everyone, not just because you're black, not because you're, just everyone across the board. Because,
So let me ask you a question. So when you're pregnant, do they, regardless of your skin, of your background, of your nationality or whatever, your race, is there like a test? I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I'm sure you do. Is there a test that they specifically give you now? Is it a mandatory test? Like a group of tests? Okay, well, we got a sickle cell test here. We got a, SCD test here. We got this test. We got this test and this test. They give you a whole bunch of a medley of tests now to find out, if that person does have that trait.
Yes, there is a newborn screening. They screen for everything. Well, not everything, but
just about
a
everything.
lot of diseases that potentially
cancer, all that stuff.
be passed on to your offspring.
Exactly.
Sickle cell trait is one of them, along with hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, things like that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, there is something now, but back in the late 80s,
There was nothing.
It was nothing.
So within the last 20, 30 years, it's come a long way.
Yes.
And I think maybe it's primarily come a long way because of the people that have passed away from it.
Sure.
And doing this now, spreading the information, it's good that someone had the information and they gave it to you, or that you seeked out that knowledge and that information on your own.
Yes.
But it was there for you.
Yes.
It might have not been there a few 30 years ago, so hopefully in another 30 years,
Oh yeah.
they may have a cure for it, or it may be, it may be easier to get the transplant, or to fix the disease, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
I think it'll be easier once patients have better doctors. Doctors who are willing to learn about sickle cell disease past 18.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, so for cancer, you have an oncologist.
Yes.
For your disease, what kind of doctor? What's the title?
Hematologist.
Hematologist?
Hematology oncologist.
Hematology. Okay. I never knew that.
Because in medical school, doctors specialize in hematology oncology.
Yes.
And then once you reach 18, a lot of doctors branch only into oncology.
So
that's why
because of hematology, there's not that many. More people have cancer than they do sickle cell disease.
And that could be the reason why, but a lot of doctors, because if you want to practice with peds, you have to do both hematology and oncology.
Okay.
But when you become an adult, or if you want to practice as an adult, majority of doctors who want to specialize in adult care will specialize in oncology, not hematology. And so that's why you find a lot of oncologists only and not hematology oncologists. Or they don't want to specialize in sickle cell. They want to specialize in, let's say, cancer or other blood disorders.
Because cancer, you got so many branches. You got all kinds of cancer that you can, go off into. So that oncology umbrella is really big.
Exactly.
You would really probably have to really be interested in dealing with the hematology, or really want to go into that in order to do that. But there's obviously doctors that do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's good information. It just, I never even knew that the name. I've heard of a hematologist, but I didn't know that's what they were specifically for. But see, that's what this is great, because it allows people to get informed. And if you don't have the information and the knowledge on something, then you can't take that thing head on and challenge it and defeat that thing.
Okay.
One thing on my show, even for myself, with information and doing background, reading information, for certain shows and stuff like that, I learned, this is that, or that is this, or this is what causes that, or so forth and so on, and it informs you, And then once you're informed, you're able to inform other people, which is great. And I think what you're doing is awesome. By you helping people.
I appreciate that.
Like when you came to me, I have no problem. It may not be cancer. I have cancer. I got T-cell lymphoma cancer that lights my skin, and I go through my complications. But everybody's going through something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it shows just not for people who have cancer or someone. Sick is sick. If you want a deathbed, you want a deathbed, regardless of what may have you on that deathbed. I would also like to give a special shout out to a friend of mine. Malcolm Motley, his aunt passed away from, I believe it was throat cancer or lung cancer a couple of days ago. And then we talked about the Charlie Murphy. And then my engineer was telling me that Charlie Murphy's wife died. Is that correct, from cancer as well?
Yes, she passed away a couple of years earlier from cancer.
Do you know what kind?
It was written down. I apologize. I have it before.
Yeah, not your fault, not your fault. But it just shows you. I mean, now, me, and I was saying to my guest before on the show before you, Beverly A. Bush, who has breast cancer. Now, due to the fact that you have sickle cell disease, do you see it now more than you did before? Because, when you don't have something, you're blind to something,
Yeah.
Like before, when I would watch cancer commercials, it wouldn't even matter, whatever. It's just another commercial. But now that I see everybody that has cancer commercials, or maybe you're reading an article in the newspaper or something on Google or whatever it may be, does it grab your attention now? Do you see it more than you saw it before because you are aware of it?
Yes, because I want to know what's going on. I want to stay informed so I can spread the knowledge, because that's the only way that this disease can get the attention that it needs to get. Because if I don't know, who am I going to tell, to the next person? So with that being said, I see it always. I see it when I Google, what's new down the pipeline, what new FDA drugs are, being brought up. What conferences can I attend? Because there are conferences that you can go to, but what's going to be talked about? Who's going to talk? What are the topics going to be? So I see it everywhere. I see it when I don't want to see it.
I know, and that's the same with me. Like we were talking about, I watch TV, and I swear every commercial's about cancer. Somebody else is dying, or somebody else is sick, and I'm sitting there like, my God, I get very emotional, especially when it comes to the kids.
Oh, yes.
I can't do the kids. I got to turn the TV. I don't want to deal with it, but it's just reality. So you're in school right now. You're going for your master's, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to do in school for your master's for?
I'm doing health promotions.
Okay.
In public health.
So you're not going to be a doctor, but
Yeah.
you're going to get your master's so you can spread this information on a higher plateau.
Yes, definitely.
And what would your ending goal be when you're finished with your master's and you've accumulated all this information and you being a survivor of it yourself? What would your ending goal want? What do you want to accomplish?
If I can spread as much information as I can about this disease and dispel all the myths that are out there, that would be the biggest joy for me.
Okay, but what I'm saying, do you want to open up your own center, your own help center, your own place where people can come talk about it? I know you're part of help groups, right?
Yes.
But do you want to make that bigger, or do you want to make that spread wider? Or, because I would say that in every hospital, and even we go to the same cancer center, they pay more attention to oncology than hematology. So you want to...
Because the title says cancer center.
Well, yeah, of course. But what I'm saying, smart. What I'm saying is,
what it says.
Whatever. But what I'm asking is, do you want to say, okay, well, you coming into the oncology center, but over to the left on the side is a hematology part where it would only be based primarily for people who have sickle cell disease. Is that one of your goals?
That is my ultimate goal.
Okay.
Is to create, especially through Hackensack, because
Yes.
that's where I did my transplant.
And they got the money to
and
do
that's
it.
where I, know all the doctors and support staff and everyone involved. So my dream is to open up a clinic that caters to all forms of sickle cell disease and trait. Because if you can pass the information from your trait patients to sickle cell disease patients, then everybody wins.
That's right.
And even if you don't want to do transplant, you get better care.
Yeah.
Because I experienced better care at Hackensack.
Yeah.
And because their doctors and staff are great.
Thank you, Hackensack University Medical Center and the John
Yes.
Farrell Cancer Center. Good job.
And so that is the ultimate goal for me, is to open up a center for them, as well as be a platform for sickle cell disease patients to show you there is light at the end of the tunnel. You can look from both sides of the fence. I've seen what it's like to be and have sickle cell disease, and now I'm knowing what it's like to have no disease, not have to live with the burden of this disease any longer. And so to not have to be in crisis every other day or be in the hospital,
Crying,
as
I'm
often,
gonna die, and all that stuff.
I would, no, not necessarily die,
Well, I mean,
but
well.
you know, be in pain as often as I was in pain with, and stuff. You know, being in a hospital and dealing with, you know, doctors who don't, you feel like you don't, who doesn't care, not necessarily at Hackensack.
No,
you
yeah,
know,
but in general, there's
In
some,
general,
I mean,
yeah.
you got one or two of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, just seeing that there is light. And I encourage, and I am, mind you, I was not for transplant when I first found out about it. But now that I am on the other side, I ask everybody who has sickle cell, do you want to do transplant? Or is
See, but that's a good thing, though, because you are living proof. You can say, hey, listen, I know you may be hesitant about this transplant,
Yes.
but it saved my life. And if, common sense. I'm sick, and I can, you know, maybe die from something that I have. And you come and tell me, like, I wasn't too keen on doing chemotherapy. But hey, you know, if it was going to bring me out of that state that I was already in, then I was like, you know what, I may be sick, it may hurt, it may go through this and that and third, but the least you can do is at least try it. But see, you're living proof, you know, which is awesome because you can say, listen, I've been through what you've been through. I know how it feels to be sick. I know how it feels to get that blood transfer, when you get the blood transferred in your body or whatever. Yeah, I know how it feels to wake up. I know, you know that. You know, and it's awesome that you can tell those people, hey, listen, get it done.
Yeah.
You know, it's either, let me tell you how simple it is. It's either you get it done with a better chance of living, or you don't get it done and you have a better chance of dying.
Well, I think a lot of people are just afraid. And not only that, if you're comfortable with your living state, because not a lot of people who have sickle cell disease are
In the hospital
in
and all
bad
that.
conditions.
Okay.
You know, they're comfortable with where they are. If they're getting sick every so often, then I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah.
Because right now you're living okay, you're able to hold down a job, you know, whatever you're in school for, if you are in school. So it's...
But let me ask you, so those people who are not extremely sick but still have the trait but are still going through life, shouldn't they still even get the transplant if it's available? Because won't it increase and it can still get them sick throughout the years? I mean, it's a unpredictable disease.
It's unpredictable,
Yeah.
yes, but if...
You can be good on Tuesday, and on Friday you feel some kind of way.
True, but at the end of the time, at the same time, you have to outweigh the benefits and
Pros
the
and
risks.
cons,
Yes, because if, like I said, if you're in a comfortable state at this point, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or a year from now or 5 years from now. So you have to ask yourself, where am I? Do I want to do this? Am I willing to go through all that it takes? Because you have to ask yourself, do you have the support team to go through it with you? Because you have to have somebody to go through it with you. You know, to help you drive to these clinics.
And who
hospital
was
visits.
your primary person who...
The love of
your
my
rock?
life, my
Love of
mama.
your life, your mother?
Yes,
She's a good woman. I met her mother. Very strong. You do have to have somebody that is strong.
but it wasn't just her. It was
other people as well.
family.
Yeah, but she was the rock
of it all.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly,
she was.
Exactly.
Yes, mama. But yeah, you have to have someone, and if you don't have that, doctors are not going to treat you. They're not going to offer transplant to you because they know what it takes to go through this process.
Yeah.
Going through the chemotherapy, the losing of the hair, you know, the wanting not to eat anything and being forced to eat something because you're taking these medications on.
You know what? It's crazy how chemotherapy is for your disease and for mine as well.
Well, it's not as harsh because I only had one round.
Oh, okay.
2 different medications, but 1 round of chemo.
It wasn't one every week, one every month, just one once, that was it?
1 round of chemo.
Wow.
2 different medications, but 1 round, and that was it. And of course, they had to suppress my immune system, and that's where all of the issues start to come along.
All about the immune system.
The infections.
Yeah, everything.
You know, everything that you can think of is when that starts going on.
Yeah.
But in my case, it was a little different because I had a lot of complications that I did not know about.
Yeah.
So that's what made it so complicated for me. But for the most part, suppressing your immune system is probably probably where it all starts to go downhill for patients. But again, like I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel, because once those complications, you get over that hurdle, you start to feel better, you start to eat the way, so, eat again, and get out there and start moving and, out in the world, because you can't eat what you want to eat.
I know.
Because you're not supposed to.
But you get used to the
You
new
get used
stuff.
to it, but
Because I wasn't there. I eat more oranges now, more greens than I've ever did before. And I mean, if you ask me, I would want to eat popcorn and pizza all day, but you can't.
You can't.
Because that's not.
You can't. But
I know.
I mean, it did make me more aware of what I put in my body now.
Yes.
Even though I do still love my Popeyes, and I still do love my ice cream.
We cheat a little bit.
I do cheat, yes.
But you gotta balance. It's about balance.
Yes, I'm still learning that.
Yeah,
but
it's about balance.
Still am aware. I still am aware of what I take, and looking at the nutrition facts on the side of the carton or the bottle or whatever I'm eating or taking.
Now, do you take stuff too? Because everything especially through oncology and hematology, it's all about the immune system.
Yes.
Do you take maybe vitamin supplements or eat certain foods that will boost up your immune system? Even though you have the cure, it's still, you can't, you put new tires on a car, you got new tires, but eventually you got to get those tires rotated and cleaned and checked, and you may need new tires again. Do you take or do anything to make, to keep your immune system up?
Well, I'm still, because they suppress my immune system, so I have no immune system.
Wow.
And so now I'm getting back my vaccines.
Okay.
Slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. So currently I am technically on paper a 16-month-old, vaccine-wise.
Okay.
Even though I'm 28, I'm a 16-month-old.
All right.
So I'm getting them back little by little, because like I said, I lost them all during transplant.
What helps with your immune system? I've known, and really, Google is the god of information on the internet.
I take calcium supplements.
Calcium, yeah.
I take
zinc is good.
Yeah, I do
vitamin
take a multivitamin.
Yeah.
Daily.
Try vitamin C more than the multivitamins. The other vitamins are good too, and maybe not want to take it every day, but the vitamin C is really good. I do vitamin C, and then sometimes I just get these big organic oranges, and I just go ham on the oranges. Which is even better than taking a supplement. That's getting it straight from the fruit.
True. But I definitely, for at least in my case, I wasn't fond of meat. I wasn't fond of meat because it messed with my taste buds.
Okay.
All the chemo and drugs that I was taking, it messed with my taste buds. So, in order for me to take in protein, it had to be sweet. Okay. Which
you liked anyway.
I liked anyway, but
give me them cakes.
But it wasn't.
Vitamins.
But it wasn't the best thing. And no, honestly, I was afraid. I did not want meat, and I had sweetened the meat any way that I could, whether it be honey or sugar or whatever I could to make it sweet is what I did to make tolerate it.
Yeah.
And I did gain a lot of weight because of that. Mm-hmm. Because
you was tearing them hosters and tasting
all
cakes
I
up.
wanted was starches. And the doctor was like, okay, no more Atkins diet for you. And so I have lost a little bit of weight, I think. But for the most part, I'm getting back to, tolerating meat much more. Okay. Again, it still has to be sweet, but I'm tolerating
now,
it.
before you started doing the medication, did you like meat before then?
Oh, yeah, I was fine with it.
So with the medication that threw your taste buds off with the meat. Okay.
It was only with medications and transplant that I stopped being a fan of meat. Even fish. I hate fish now. But
you mean tell me no good? You don't like that good jerk chicken?
I do. I do. I love my chicken, but
give you some good jerk.
Again, it had to be either hot or sweet. Okay. It was no in between. Okay. So, excuse me. So like I said, before transplant, I ate whatever I wanted, however I wanted, and now it's picking and choosing what tastes good.
But your body's getting back to regular. You're like, You're getting there.
I'm still a 16-month-old. That's fine.
Yeah, okay, well, that's all that counts. You on paper, you are.
Yeah, on paper, only on paper.
Exactly. So, so you haven't had any complications since or relapses on your body since your transplant?
Well, okay.
Nothing extremely big. I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. I
Oh,
don't.
wow, okay.
Okay. Let's go
The
into
day
it.
of my transplant, 3/4 of the way of me getting my new bone marrow, I had my very first seizure ever.
Wow.
And a couple weeks later, I was in a medically induced coma because of the continuous seizures that I was getting. And
Now your body wasn't taking well to the medicine or to the transplant.
it was the medication that I
Okay,
was on because,
okay.
like I said, I did not know how sick I was before transplant.
Yeah.
And, first medically induced coma second, medically induced coma. And then once I got out of that, I developed PRESS, which is basically your brain swelling in the occipital lobe of the brain. So I had that twice. And then if it wasn't that, it was the infections. Because I was constantly getting sick, even though my mother made it a priority to keep everything and everyone clean. I was still very sick, with complications. I was in the hospital every week.
But you're not getting sick anymore, though.
Oh, no. I think my last hospital visit was New Year's.
Okay.
This New Year's. And I had the flu. But after that, a couple hiccups with, but there were clinic visits.
Yeah.
I was sick,
Yeah.
but I only had to go to the clinic for...
And that is because your body's getting used to it more?
Getting that and getting back my vaccine slowly.
Yeah.
And,
I guess everything takes time. I mean,
Yeah.
the first time that you do something like that, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. But,
Sure.
4 or 5 years down the line, it may feel like you didn't even go through that.
Oh, yeah, because, I'm still on protocol medications that I should have been off of a long time ago. But, doctors are very, hands-on with me and saying, listen, just to be safe, we'd rather you stay on this or that a little bit longer because we don't want you to relapse or have to go to the hospital.
How many medications do you take as of right now?
Regularly that are not prescription or prescribed.
No, prescribed for the sickle cell disease.
I don't take any sickle cell disease patient
Nice,
medications,
okay.
but transplant protocol medications,
Okay,
I'm
well.
taking, let's say 4.
Mm-hmm.
4 constantly. And then,
Now, will you have to take this for the rest of your life, or is it for a specific time, or?
well, no, once I am cleared to stop the some of these, the 3 that I'm taking, I don't have to take them any longer. But for the neurology side of it, I do have to take those, every day. But I'm okay.
That's good. So, I want you to, before we wrap this up, I want you to, for the people listening and the people that are going to see this afterwards, the people that are live, we thank you very much. We want CP time today, but it happens, but doesn't make a difference at what time, as long as we're here spreading the information. It's very brave of you
Thank you.
to come on the show and want to do this. When you told me about it, I'm like, that's great. Don't have a problem having a forum that I have to let other people share that forum, to spread this information, to help other people. So there were some organizations that you said. I want you to repeat those organizations again for the camera,
Okay.
just so they know. They can Google these organizations, the non-for-profit or whatever else organizations. Write these down, people. Google them, whatever you have to do, because this is important for you people who are, it's not only an African-American disease, but the trait is higher in our community.
No, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
Yes.
Well, what you said, 1 out of 13?
1 out of 13 yes. 1 out of 13
That's not higher than everybody else?
Yes, it is higher than everybody
That's what I just said.
else. My bad.
Like I said,
My bad.
I'm the host of this show that I'm on point with mine. Come on. No, I'm joking with you, KD. She's awesome. So, but, for the African-American
Yes,
community.
1 in 13.
You African-Americans out there, you black people, or Latinos, or whatever you from, Jamaica, wherever, Trinidad, wherever you from, it may be smart for you to go get checked out or whatever you need to get done and get tested for before you decide to have kids.
Yes.
To
yes,
see,
yes.
you know, so give them the organizations again that you said.
Okay.
Go on with your bad self.
My solace when I came back to New Jersey is the Sickle Cell Association of New Jersey.
Sickle Cell Association of New Jersey.
Yes. That is a nonprofit organization that's founded by Mary Bentley Lamar. She's the founder, like I said, and her email or the website for this organization is www.sicklecellnewjersey.org, and that's where you can find information. You can find out about events. They have pop-up events often. They have yearly events that they do throughout the year. And how I found out about the transplant was through the symposium that they hold every November. So great information, great organization. Miss Mary has been a great mentor to me. So I encourage every sickle cell patient who lives in New Jersey to find out about this organization because it's the New Jersey chapter of the National Sickle Cell Association. So don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Always
Better be safe than sorry.
Exactly. Advocate for yourself. Advocate for your friends who have this disease. Tell people about it. So
And
that
if you're
they
going to the
know.
doctor anyway, you might as well say, hey, you know what, go on in and throw that sickle cell shot on me just to make sure that I'm okay. You know what I mean? I mean, why not?
Exactly.
If you're going to get all these other tests, it's always good to inform yourself and to be sure that you don't have something that you may not know that you don't even have.
That too. And if you do have sickle cell trait, tell your children. If you do have children, tell them about their trait. Update them often about their status so that they're aware and that they can, if they do have children or once they have children, they can go and tell their partners that they have this disease or the trait, and then they can potentially go to the doctor and get genetic testing to find out what's going on with my partner, myself, and my potential child. So education, advocacy is across the board necessary.
That's the key.
Exactly.
I have a quick
Yourself.
question, real quick.
Yes.
Sorry about that. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming on.
Okay.
You are a walking miracle, and it's wonderful. Those who haven't seen the original show, please take the time and effort to go on and see this wonderful lady walking miracle. People always say they want to see a miracle. You're seeing one right here.
Thank
Actually,
you.
two of them. And get to see that first show. But I do want to ask a question about symptoms.
Yes.
What are the symptoms that people will know, just in case you might want to, those things do start occurring, you want to go to the doctor?
For sickle cell disease patients, common symptoms are pain crises, strokes. You can get, or you may have to go through blood transfusions. If you're that sick, blood exchanges. Pain in your legs, your bones, your joints, and such. Of course, having to always check with keep abreast of your cardiologist if you need one. Especially once you transition out into adult care, they recommend that you start seeing a pulmonologist because of the pulmonary hypertension.
Okay.
And so, staying up to date with vaccines if you can. Every patient is different, so you cannot judge one sickle cell patient's story and their experience to another. So, it may be some general things that happen, but for the most part, every patient is different from the next. So don't look at, this person had, sickle cell, they have crisis every day, and the next person doesn't. You can't look at it the same for every person.
Every individual is different.
Exactly.
Because I do have a couple more here. Just want to what they state that if these things do occur, you might want to go get checked out, and you might have experienced this yourself. And that's fever, chills, fatigue, weakness, loss of weight, night sweats, and like you said, joint pains, abdominal discomfort, headaches, shortness of breath, frequent infections, like you said, getting sick a lot, and breathing, and having small red spots underneath your skin.
Yeah, acute chest syndrome, which is sickling in your lungs, and that can cause, like I said, lung problems, lung infection, things like that.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, well, that's very informative, and that was a great question. Thank you, Truth. I'm glad that we were, able to come here and do this. And what we're going to do is, once a month, Mrs. Robinson is going to come in, and if there's any new information, it's constantly, like you said, they're coming up with, FDA's coming up with new drugs.
They're researching new drugs now. Nothing new on the market. The only FDA-approved medication currently is Hydrea.
It's Hydrea. Google
Yes.
that, Hydrea.
That's the only, like I said, only FDA-approved medication. But pharmaceutical companies are working on, getting new drugs on the market, and having them in clinical trials right now. So look up your FDA-approved or FDA clinical trials now to see what drugs are available, what stage of the clinical trial they're in. If they're in the research stage, the patient stage, find all that information out on the FDA website.
And if you don't, Mrs. Robinson will be here once a month to inform you. We will talk. We will spread information. The more information that you know about this or any other thing that, could possibly kill you, or be with you for the rest of your life or take your life, we're going to spread that information. I want to thank everyone for continuously tuning in to the Road to Remission show. I would like to thank Mrs. Robinson once again.
No problem.
And her mother. I would like to thank Truth for his information and his help. My name is Hassan Jackson. I never knew how to live until I died. And first and foremost, we would like to thank God first.
Always.
Because without him, we would not exist. We would not be here. Like Truth said, we are a walking testament to, survival and life and what you could possibly be if you have that strength, determination, and that will and that drive with a little bit of luck, But I want to, again, thank you, Mrs. Robinson.
No problem.
For tuning in to the Road to Remission show. No worries, I appreciate you. You'll see her once a month.
We have a 1-800 number if you want. There's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week number people can call for oncologists. It's 866-294-9643. Once again, that's 866-294-9643.
And that number's for?
It's for a 24-hour oncology information specialist.
Okay, so if you have any information, Truth just gave you the number. She gave you the website earlier. Like I told you in the beginning of my show, maybe a month or two back, it's all about spreading the information. If you inform yourself, you can maybe save your life or save somebody else's life. So once again, thank you for tuning in to the Road to Remission show. Once again, my name is Hassan Jackson. I never knew how to live until I died. We want to thank God. Thank you for my guests and everyone else around. And we will see you next week. Thank you and have a good day.
Welcome to the Road to Remission show, where we fight the good fight as one. With your host, Hassan Jackson, only on Truth 5 TV. Welcome to the Road to Remission show, where we